Very good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of Robert's philosophy, and we have started discussing about the new chapter 33 chapter from H.A.Robert's philosophy, the phenomenological point of view. This phenomenological point of view is nothing but looking towards the homeopathic science with a scientific aspect and correlating it with the modern science. The way Stuart Close has tried his level best in the second chapter, the general interpretation, in the similar manner, H.A.Robert tries to correlate all those things over here. So this is a very important thing which he is explaining over there regarding the thing. And he is trying to correlate the things in relation with the homeopathy. There are many things. Science has advanced, science has reached up to the level where it, it has gone to the up to the level of finding it out smallest particle of the any substance, and that is called as an atom. Then science goes beyond that. It found that there is a nucleus to the atom. Then there are the protons, the electrons, the neutrons, all those things. But behind that, science says that energy is saturated inside it, and that energy has its manifestations, but you cannot see the energy. The things which Hahnemann have explained, also he has explained the same thing. He has explained the energy which has been in a different words. He has explained the vital energy. He has used the word dynamic energy, the vital principle, the vital force. The terminologies which Hahnemann have utilized, Robert is trying his level best to correlate it with the terminologies of the modern science. How the people, scientific people, talks in today's world, and what Hahnemann was explaining a way back, it is one and same, but this thorough study about it is only present in homeopathy, and with which it is possible to understand the concepts in detail. The science has reached up to the level of microscope. They are finding it out different pathologies. They are finding it out different material causes in the form of bacteria, viruses, or parasites. They are finding it out changes in the tissue level, but they are not going beyond that. They are able to diagnose, they are able to label the disease, but they are not able to find it out cause behind that, because they are not able to find it out the dynamics. Homeopathy considers the dynamics. Homeopathy considers why the hypothyroidism has developed, why the diabetes have been developed, why the hyper tension is there. Any chronic disorder, we have the causes behind that in the form of a miasms, and we reach to the miasms with the help of patient's history, the patient's detailed history, his past history, his family history. Everything gives you a guide to find it out a miasm and to reach to the cause, the dynamic cause behind that. H.A.Robert, in this chapter, the phenomenological point of view means manifestations of this internal energy in the form of signs and symptoms, and how it reflects in the modern language. That correlation he is trying to explain over there in this chapter. We have just seen few of the paragraphs from this chapter. We were there on page number 260, the second paragraph. Let's start with it. It is safe to say that the revelations in the science yet to come are even more vital and far-reaching than those already exhibited. The specialist in the specific branches of medical investigation can furnish us vast and detailed information based off his microscopic finding. Yet, as homeopathic physicians, we cannot permit ourselves to be hampered by details to the exclusion of the whole. So there are very new tests are coming up. If you'll go to the new laboratories, and if you find it out the number of tests available, there are n number of tests have been developed now. Simple If you have to investigate the rheumatism, there are n number of tests are available to label the disease. You are able to label the disease. But what is ultimate in the hand of those allopathic practitioners? Even though they find it out with anti-CCP, then RA test, then ANA test, n number of tests they used to do. But what line of treatment, whether it changes on the basis of that? No. They try the anti-inflammatory. If it is not working, then uh, gives the steroids. The line of treatment remains to be the same for them, and our line of treatment is not dependent upon those findings. The patient's anti-CCP test is positive, ANA test is positive. It doesn't matter, it doesn't bother for a homeopath to reach to this prescription, because those details only gives you one idea about the disease, one understanding about the disease. But ultimately, homeopathic therapeutics never depends upon such microscopic findings. We used to take into consideration human as a whole, and we have to reach to the human, and we don't have to reach to the microscope or microscopic finding. So ultimately, what you have to give is the remedy which is based upon the individual as a whole. We are privileged to view all these findings as a part of universal application of law under which we work. For man is not if he be not part of universe and subject of his laws. Yes, definitely we're going to understand this is on the basis of all those reports, histopathological report. Yes, definitely we'll understand the disease process with the help of it. If we do the USG, we will acknowledge what the patient is suffering from. It doesn't bother, because unless and until manifestations are there, we cannot reach to the remedy. We have to depend upon the manifestation. We have to depend upon the phenomenon of that disease. The phenomenon is the most important entity on the basis of which we are going to reach to the right remedy, not upon the name of the disease, not upon the syndrome, not upon the diagnosis. And this one has to understand. Yes, definitely we have to take into consideration the human, because he is the part of this universe and he is subject to its all laws. Because man's adaptation is highly specialized, we are able to correlate through a study of his well health variations and the fundamental laws of the universe. As far as we can determine these, our knowledge of each towards greater comprehension and applicability of the greater to the individual problem. Animal life, like vegetable life, has a high degree of adaptability to the environment and proves the most delicate laboratory we have for our examination. Yet, the mineral kingdom furnishes us with an unsuspected link in our chain of evidence. Thus, in conformity with the statistical laws, we find again and again that regular reaction and response of an individual is true of the group of individuals, with necessary deductions of personal idiosyncrasies, and further that what is true of the group of individuals may be true of any other group in nature under the similar conditions, so far as we can measure the reactability of these other groups. See, here he is explaining the details about it. He is trying to correlate the things very clearly. He is trying to understand the human being. Like any other animal, human also adapts to the situation. Adaptability is the process because of which one remains healthy. If the adaptation is not there, the person enters into the state of disease. Non-adaptability is the disease. And that's why there are a number of changes happens in human life. Simple things we'll take into consideration and then we'll understand. For example, there is suddenly a very cold weather started. We adapt by different things. Being a human, we think, we understand, we feel, we are susceptible, and because of which we wear sweaters, we wear a very hot clothing, linen, in order to adapt the situation. Because unless we adapt, otherwise we'll suffer. We'll go into the from ease to dis-ease. And this adaptation is sometimes it is happening involuntarily, sometimes voluntarily. Being human, who is gifted with the logic, who is gifted with the emotions, who is gifted with the mind, he is able to think and he adapts. In rest of the animals, their situation is different, and even they tries their levels involuntarily and adapt the situation. And this adaptability is the thing on the basis of which one's health can be measured. So he is explaining all those things. The uniformity of the results is unquestionably due to what we term universal energy, which may be expressed again in very modern terms as the basic electrons, protons, and neutrons, which are radiate, electric, magnetic, the very definite of potential energy. See, when we find it out to human nature, when you start understanding human, first we understand him externally in the structure, then we go little bit inside, understand something more than that. This is how we learn, understand the human being. When we were there in the KG or in the first standard, we have learned the structure of human. Yes, this is called as eyes. Those are eyes. This is nose. This is mouth. This is ear. These are extremities. This is abdomen. Everything. Then when we reach to fourth standard, we go little bit more inside. Then how this body is made up of? What are the units with which it is made up of? Then we go further and then we learn more about the body. Then we reach to the cells and structure of cell. In 12th standard, we used to learn many processes, what happens inside the body, the cell structure of a cell, then how this cell functions, the photosynthesis happens there, Krebs cycles, all those things. What you are doing? You are doing same thing. You are learning the human being from the structure to a details of that structure. But when you reach to a cell and unit of the human body is called to be a cell, you cannot go beyond how this cell is formed. Who is the first animal on this earth? How the life has evolved? There are a number of questions which are unanswerable till today because you cannot show the process in the form of some material. Then you have to take the help of some energy. This energy which lies inside the human body, this energy is the source. But how this energy is developed inside that human being? Question is there. Then you reach that there is some vital principle which is autocratic, which is source of his own energy. And here it liberates. And that's why we label it by the name of life principle. Someone says it by the name of soul, but that is something which has its own existence, even though it is invisible, but because of which it starts developing. See, all those things which we have to take into consideration, we have to talk in the sense of modern knowledge. We are calling it by the name of energy. If it is in working field, if it is useful, it is active, then we label it by the name of kinetic energy. When it is in the still form, in a fixed form, we label it as a potential energy. But energy is present everywhere on this earth, whether it is a living thing, whether it is non-living thing. In living things, it is more in the kinetic form and also in potential form. But in non-living things, it is definitely with the potential form. And when we go beyond that, when we find it out, the structure of the finest particle of the any substance, we reach to the atom, and then we have learned that this atom is made up of three important things. In the center, there is a neutron and proton, and externally, the electron is moving continuously. If it is stable, the energy is fixed. When it is not stable, it tries to get stable. And when we do a nuclear division, of this atom, the energy which is saturated over there inside comes out. It gets released. So when we think about the smallest particle of any substance, it has its own energy. And what do we do when we give homeopathic remedy? We tries to make it so fine, so fine, so fine. We tries to release that energy which is saturated over there. What we are doing by the process of trituration, what we are doing by the process of succussion, we are releasing the energy which is saturated inside an atom, and that comes out, and that's why homeopathic medicines are labeled as the energy medicine. In the other sense, these are not just dynamic medicine. This word people never understand. But when we say this is energy, and how this energy, the of an atom which gets released because of these two types of methods of preparing the medicines, in solid substance with the trituration, for liquid substance with succussion, and how it gets released. If you try to explain it in the scientific terminology, then people starts understanding, yes, what we are doing, we are liberating the energy which is there inside the atom of that medicinal substance, and it comes out. We have to correlate, is this is how the science is there, and this is how homeopathy utilizes the science. Only thing, the words which were utilized in the earlier books were not easily digestible for the scientific person. So when we think it is dynamic energy, people never understand. When we think it is kinetic energy or potential energy, or it is energy which is liberated from the nucleus, yes, people starts understanding, yes, it is energy, because they learns in the language of energies. This is what is a phenomenological point of view, what Robert wants to say. This is the phenomenon which we are talking in one language, another is talking in another language. To the same energy, we call by the different names when we think about the same thing again. We call it as a vital energy, or we call it as a vital force is disturbed. If the same patient or same person goes to some astrologer, he says that you are having a there is a ghost inside you, and because of which it is troubling you. From his point of view, this ghost is nothing but the same energy. Someone says it is negative energy is working on you. Someone says that it is something unnatural things which are working on you. There are a number of things, a number of terminologies to the same dynamic energy, to the same vital energy of the human being which is getting disturbed. And if it is getting disturbed, then the disease is developed. Only thing is that we are talking in different words with the same thing. We label it by different names. And these phenomenons, if become standard, then everyone will understand homeopathy in a proper manner. So what he wants to explain over here is the relationship of the modern science with the homeopathy. While energy has been certain stability of reactivity, it has selective action. Every portion of human frame has a selective action over its function. It is susceptible to certain influences, constructive and destructive, and reacts selectively. Each atom of human frame has potential susceptibility to certain influences and has developed selectively and according to the principles of uniformitarianism. And we are now by no means in a static condition, socially, economically, or physically, any more than the geological formation of the present day is in a static condition, although both man and rocks may seem to be. What he is explaining, or he is going beyond that. He is explaining that every human body carries such types of energy, but it is individualistic. It is not same in two individuals. It is not same in a group of people. Everyone carries it in a different manner. You're going to find it out, those variations of the energy. Someone is too active, someone is too dull. someone is normal. There is variety. And this variety is always individualistic. So if it is so, so naturally the reactions will be different. If there is sudden noise outside, one will get severely excited. Oh, what has happened? Aconite will go like that. If Calcaria person will be there or Barata person will be there, he will just look, okay, what has happened, happened. Their reactions are very slow. It doesn't bother for them, those who are dull, slow. They don't react. The third person will go outside and find what has happened. The reactions are individualistic because the energy saturated over there, it's in different forms in every individual. It is more in potential form, those who are slow in reaction. It is more active, strongly active in those who are very active in their presentations. But ultimately, it is the energy which matters. So we are talking about the energies. And when we talk about energies, everyone tries to understand what energy and how this energy is there. Last point which he has compared, yes, there are differences between the human being and rocks. In rocks, there is only potential energy. It doesn't move itself. You have to throw that rock somewhere else. Then kinetic energy is developed for time being till it is in force when we apply the force. So force has to be applied externally in order to get converted the potential energy into the kinetic energy in rocks. But it is not so with the human being because it is life which is there. Because of life, the thing is that they move themselves. So human being is having both types of energy at a time, the potential as well as kinetic, to which we label or Hahnemann labeled by the name of vital energy. The terminology is different. Scientific terminology, it is a potential as well as kinetic. Hahnemann says it vital. So things should be explained with the modern language, then one can understand all those things clearly. So we'll stop on this note and we'll meet on Monday with the next part. This chapter is little bit difficult to understand because we never learned the homeopathy in such a manner. We have not correlated homeopathy with science. For that purpose, we have to recollect the physics, we have to recollect chemistry, we have to recollect biology, and then we'll understand homeopathy in a better manner. So that's all for today. Thank you being there and good evening. And we'll meet directly on Monday.